So now in the general chat there's a lot of requests for how to work with the flight computers and the main flight computer. So here I'm gonna make a quick explainer just showing you how to use them and how they actually work. So first up, we're just gonna take it back to the very basics and show what all the components are. Starting with the flight control unit. This is the basic edition and only has a few items in the list. For example, you can only go forward, backward, pitch, yaw, and roll. Now the advanced one has a few more features. It can go forward, backward, pitch, yaw, roll, but it can also go up and down, left and right. I usually don't tend to use the advanced, but it's up to you if you really want to. We also still have the premium one, which is very expensive, so only use it if you're really going to use it. If you don't, you should really stick just with the advanced or basic ones. Again, you get everything from left to right, up and down, roll, yaw, pitch, forward and backward. But you also will get the forward backward pitch, the forward backward yaw, the forward backward roll. Now, I've never used these features myself before, I haven't found a purpose for them yet. However, it could be useful in your case. For this explainer, we're just going to be sticking with the basic edition, just to keep it simple. And we also still have the main flight computer. This is the thing that will control how your thrusters will respond to your lever input. Because sometimes maybe a ship is off balance. I know for sure this ship, what we're explaining it in, is. It also will not function correctly due to the ship not being finished. It's just to quickly show how it all works. The main flight computer has two ID fields, which means you can have two of these bad boys hooked up to one of these. Well, it can help if you have like tons of thrusters. Every one of these can only have 50. These might help with just some basic stuff. And if my Starbase is letting me click on other things, there we go. So for a start, you found this ID field here in the flight control unit. It's basically the same in here. What you need to do is make sure these two match. Now what I usually tend to do is just put a 1 behind here, and they're linked together. That does still mean you will of course have them connected in the same grid, which is what we're going to be doing now. If I cannot get a lot of mesh cables in here, let's do that properly. There we go. In my case, I'm just going to be hooking up to the chair. It can be hooked up anywhere in your electricity grid as long as your thrusters are attached to the same grids. Here we go. Now these two have now been set up together. That doesn't mean you can fly yet. You still will need levers. Now I'm aware most people already know how to set up their levers, but in case you don't, feel free to watch through. You're going to need a normal lever for your acceleration. Don't forget to flip it around, otherwise it's going to be a little bit odd to look at. You will also need a lot of middle levers, 3 of them to be precise, for the basic version. It depends on what you make, but if you're only using the basic one, you will get away with just 3. These two here, and the last one over here. These two are going to be yaw and roll, and this one is going to be for the pitch. Of course, hook them all together. You can just link them together to make your life a little bit easier and a little bit less clunky with all the cables. In my case, I'm not doing a perfect job. This is not how you should be designing your cockpit, but it's just for the sake of showing. And then just hook it up to the same electricity grid as your flight control unit. Now, after you set all of this up, you already got your lever setup nearly done. You just need to do a few things. You may have noticed in here, there's an FCU forward. Now, you can rename these, but I recommend not doing that and just doing Ctrl A and Ctrl C, press enter to be safe. Then go into your lever, go to lever state, remove it, and replace it, in this case, with the forward one. You need to do it for all your levers. So for the next one, we're just going to be taking the pitch, and we're going to try that into this one. You can of course put them in any lever you want, as long as the accelerator is in a normal lever, just for the sake of it not going crazy. I'm not setting up backwards on this one. I usually don't, because I don't really have a purpose for going backwards in a spaceship. Maybe a nice addition to have, but I don't really need it myself. And here for the last one, just hooking it up. There we go. Now we're already nearly done with the setup of this thing. Once you figure it out, actually, it's not even that bad to do. But we still need to do one thing, and that is renaming our thrusters. I'm going to give a quick disclaimer here. A few of my thrusters are not working. These 4, for example, as they're not hooked up just yet. This is also just to show it, so I'm just going to be hooking up these 2 box thrusters. Which means all the other levers will not be functioning. Now this isn't a big deal in my case, as it is just an example, but in your case, you do want to verify all your levers. So, onto the box thruster. In here you have thruster state. You want to remove that and replace that with the thruster power level 0-1. For every thruster, you need to change this number to a different one. So number 2, 3, until 50. When you hit 50, you've hit the cap of this machine. And again, I cannot select anything. Thank you, Starbase. There we go. So you just go over to the second one, paste it in, and give it a different number. Now, if you've done all your wiring correct, everything should be hooked up together. As you can see, there's still a value of 0, so we're just going to go into that slide and immediately exit again. Usually it should update, which it indeed did, and will update to some random number. It's always a little bit odd, I never know what the number stands for. It's just a random number, which is assigned by your main flight computer. If they match, so say you look 2 and this number matches with what's in here, you're good. It's set up correctly, and once you flick the lever, as long as everything is plugged in correctly, it will turn on. In my case, it doesn't, due to a small mistake on my end. I already know what's going on. This is a propellant issue, and also a bolt issue. Now, what you should always check is they always bolt this together. I tend to forget this. I just do auto bolt, make sure everything works, and usually probably also means my propellant lever is now bolted in. So, going at it again, going in, pressing shift, and it turns on. Now, in my case, it starts flying a little bit uncontrollably, as not all my thrusters are hooked up, only these two, and a lot of pieces fell off because they weren't bolted. It doesn't really matter for this example. It's just in your own ship. You don't want that to happen, and you do want all your thrusters to be hooked up and named correctly. This naming of thrusters needs to be done on every single one of them, so also on these smaller ones, or a triangle thruster. I hope this explainer will make it a little bit clearer how to use the MFC in the flight control unit, and which one you should choose and how to do it. Anyway, good luck with building your own chips.